Israeli ambassador stands for trans rights. I know it's not Pride Month anymore, y'all, but we have to talk about this. In this article, in a notable stand, Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says trans rights are human rights. This is in an article from the Jewish Telegraph Agency by Ron Campais, which came out on June 30th of this year. And in this article, we learned that the Israeli ambassador to the United States, Michael Herzog, called for a stand against intolerance and bigotry targeting the LGBTQ community in the U.S. and Israel at a Pride event that was held at the U.S. Embassy. And during that event, he said that gay rights and trans rights are human rights and that ultimately love prevails. And additionally, attending that event was Rachel Levine, the Jewish and openly transgender Assistant U.S. Secretary for Health, who is an awesome person, who also spoke out in support of trans rights and healthcare, saying these ideological and politically motivated attacks in numerous states are not grounded in science or evidence of any kind. Gender affirming care is essential healthcare. And then they all proceeded to have what sounded like a fabulous party at this event. So, Teo, give us your thoughts on this.
Well, for me, it's kind of interesting because they have the original books that gave people, so many reasons to hate trans people or homosexual people all over the world. But I wonder, is because they are not Christians? Because despite them being the reason why their religion exists, they do not believe in Jesus as Christ, so they are not Christians. Is that why? Because they are, not openly as transphobic as certain people from the USA that we have seen. I'm not sure, but I'm quite sure that Helen has way more to say than me in here because I see certain flag over there that gives me the clue that maybe Helen, maybe you have something more interesting to say than me. Just maybe.
I don't know if it's more interesting, but I definitely have opinions. So,
For me,
this is
those
a
are
little
interesting.
little rays of sunshine. I will take them. I love my little rays of queer sunshine. Makes me super happy. So as you know, and our regular viewers know, that's when we're on the show. Sometimes we're talking about things that are usually a bummer. But the fact that Michael Herzog, the Israeli ambassador of the U.S., calling for a stand against intolerance and bigotry against the LGBTQ plus community and calling for hate speech and violence that kept happening in Israel, the United States needs to stop. That is a big deal because he could have touted party lines. He could have kept his mouth shut. He could have just said, I'm just going to do my job. I'm gonna pretend this is not happening. And he was like, no, it's Pride Month, and I'm gonna stand up for people. And the fact that he's lying with Rachel Levine, as you mentioned, Cara, who is Jewish and openly transgender, and is an assistant for the U.S. Secretary for Health, she appeared in person in her uniform, and she appeared before on video at this event, and she was speaking about her experience and how, even as a government official, that oppression and those feelings are still very real. And the fact that, which was, good on the the embassy, that they were like, well, we're going to throw a bomb ass party and we're going to speak about, how, everybody should have equal rights in the US and in Israel, and really it should be happening everywhere, people. So I'm really glad to see this happen. Like I said, little dashes of queer sunshine, and it makes me super happy. So Kelley, what do you got to say about this?
I I thought it was really interesting that there is a conservative wave that's happening in the world today. It's happening in India, it's happening in the United States, it's happening in parts of Europe. It's definitely happening in Israel too. So it was really good to see this bucking that trend, and I hope that other countries can see this example being set and follow that example. You know, Herzog did say that gay rights and trans rights are human rights. And I think he's correct. Because let's face it, gay people and trans people are people. They're humans too.
Shocking.
And they have the
What?
same rights
I'm
we
a
have,
person.
believe it or not. So I'm just hoping that this is going to be a really good, I'm not going to sing it, but a really good step in the right direction. And we're going to see this being copied more and more and more. Well, Kara, what do you think about it? Where do you think we should go with this?
Yeah, I completely agree with your assessment that yes, we are people, and it is a strange world we live in, where it is, potentially a political landmine to say X group of marginalized people should be considered part of the category of human. That's
Yeah.
a little weird that we have to
Weird.
say that.
Yeah, I find that just distressing even, right? I'm sorry, but sorry for cutting you
Yes.
off.
No, not at all. Yeah, I think that is wild, but I'm nevertheless glad that it is being said, and it's being said publicly and loudly by some people, or at least one person who I wouldn't have necessarily expected to come out saying that at that event, given the conservative stance of his government at this time and of ours as well. These are hot button issues. They could have said something different and they didn't. They said this, and I think it needed to be said because as the article goes on to note, this was to some people perhaps surprising given the conservative stance of Israel's government, which has other members of that government have made homophobic statements recently. They do not have particularly pro LGBTQ plus policies there, and of course in the US similarly we've been seeing a lot of rollback or threats to the rights of the queer community here too. And so this statement was meaningful. It was important and notable that it was said so publicly. So I do appreciate that was done. And yeah, I'm glad that we have an article that was positive. This is nice. I'm excited. We need rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles going on in the background.
Here,
Hooray.
I'll put on my unicorn crown.
There we
Yes,
go.
There we
perfect.
go.
That's
Party!
better.
There we go.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can carry on. Okay. Teo, what else? Did you have any other comments?
Yeah, I want to bring the mood down in here because, well, first of all, yes, I'm going to admit it. Finally, a step on the right direction. Michael Herzog, who is the Israeli ambassador, and sorry, he represents the most right-wing government in the country's history. So a person like this saying, as you said, oh, you know what? People are people, and their rights are human rights. Finally, it's something good. It means, yeah, they are starting to wake up. I hope this is not just a political how to call it, a political strategy to gain followers or something like that. But as you know, I'm obsessed with the harms of religion. One of the biggest harms of religions is that we have to say, guys, people are people, and we have to, because I don't like having to use specific tags for people. I mean, we are people. You are people. I am people. We all are people. However it sounds, but yes, having to say, "Oh no, trans people are humans." It's terrible. It's something that should not happen. And I'm pretty sure some 100 years ago we had to say, "Hey, women are people," or "Slaves are people." People with different color skin are people. It happened here in South America with the genocide that certain Catholic Church brought here. It happened in the USA with the slavery. It happened in Europe back then with women's rights, and still nowadays. And it's extremely sad that we have to explain to people that, hey, it doesn't matter what your religion says, people are people, and their basic rights are human rights, and you should respect those. And it's extremely sad that we need people in power saying, oh, yeah, I just realized that people are people, just in order to reach, those people who don't realize, oh, those who I'm discriminating are people, actually. And so that is, for me, the very, very depressing part of this, that we have to remind people that people are people.
So people are
Helen,
people.
are you a people?
I am. People are people. So why should it be that we're not living in harmony, as the song says? I'm not going to sing because I'm not I don't want to torture anybody. So, you know what? I really wish this happened more often, especially living in the United States, because our leaders tend to be kind of terrible. And especially when they're working so hard to suppress rights of people. And the thing is, though, is that like follows like. So if your elected official says that trans people, queer people don't get equal access to healthcare, jobs, education, whatever discrimination, or people of color, let's just go ahead. Like if you're not a cis white straight male, you can be dealing with some problems. And I think that it would be really nice if people on the other side would speak up. It'd be really great. Because even, Democrats and left wingers in this country tend not to speak out as much as they should and fight against this. And
I think we're seeing a trend of that changing right now.
Yeah,
I can't say for sure, but I think we're seeing that changing. I think it's a good thing just to have more voices on both sides. But go ahead, Helen. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's fine. We're very opinion people on the show, but I just, because there's so much terrible rhetoric going on, I do kind of forget that sometimes, and especially amongst young people. Like they're screaming from the rafters, like, I'm done with religion, I'm done with this bigotry, I'm done with not being able to make a living wage. They're done. And I think that's great, because then it silences the terrible people as the more that you shout and make a fuss. So I'm hoping that this will inspire also right-wing people that, don't think there's anything wrong with queer people, to speak up more, because it would be kind of a really nice thing to not be, a bigot. I'm just saying, I have issues with bigotry, as you all know. So I know my duck is, David Duck wants to quack, but I'm just not going to let him right now. So Cara, you have something else you want to say?
I will just say that I need to get one of y'all's ducks, but I do have with me here my dog Snow's duck, who is standing for the bigotry duck in this episode, and I think he's doing a fabulous job.
He is doing a very good bigotry duck. Yes, he is.
He's not a bigot himself, but he's happy to help us make those points. So that's Snow's duck. That was the main point that I had prepared at this time. Kelley, do you have something?
I do have a few things. One of the things, I was talking to my evangelical friend. I actually do have one, and he brought something up. We're talking about being humans, and he actually thought that trans people were possessed by demons. He literally thought that. And I thought to myself, well, wouldn't it be true then that you as a good Christian would want to help them instead of hating them the way you're doing? But no, I don't think it even after I brought it up, it didn't register in his mind that even if they were possessed by demons, as he thought, that they needed his help and not his hatred. And I thought that was a pretty interesting thing, is that because it's not, at that point, it's not about his religion. This is an ingrained bigotry. It's an idea that I just don't like these people. It doesn't matter what my religion says. Even if I should be accepting these people and helping them with their demon problem, I don't care. I just don't like them. I don't like them. So I know, Cara, I know you had some about human rights you'd like to say. So let's hear that.
Yeah. I don't want to, put too much of a damper on the good mood here, but, since you bring up demons and, people just hating people for no reason, I think it's also, fair to mention it was interesting to me, the way this comment was packaged around this idea that, we need to support the LGBTQ plus community, because their rights are human rights. And I just wonder how effective that packaging is, given that this is the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. And I'm not sure either of our countries have the best, most spotless record when it comes to human rights and taking care of all of the other marginalized groups that we live with and around. And I wonder if y'all have any thoughts on that piece of it.
I
Teo,
don't
you
know if
have any
Teo does
thoughts
what
on
I
that?
do.
Oh, go ahead,
Go
Helen.
for it.
Give it to him. Give it
So,
to him.
so yeah, the fact that we're still talking about human rights, and you would think in 2023 this would just be like a basic thing that everybody has the right to, basic human rights. You would think that this would just be a thing that, people are people, but apparently we still have to have these discussions. And as you pointed out, Israel and the United States, our histories are not a very good shining example. We got close to 450 years, even earlier than that, of some really terrible things, just in the United States alone. So, I am glad that we are making a little bit of progress, but we still have a long way to go, because until every single human, all the peoples, have equal rights, we are constantly going to be climbing this hill. So I, treat people like they're people. That's all you got to do. It's super easy. It takes more energy to hate people, and so don't do that. Clear up your mind for, like, watching Netflix or something like that, and not walking around with like a stick up your bum. That's my feeling on it. That was it.
Yeah, people. That's a good idea.
You should title this episode that.
People are people. Turns
People
out.
are people.
The science is in.
Yeah.
Does anybody think that Herzog might be setting himself up for a failure? Do you think that his endorsement of trans rights to the U.S. government is going to hurt him in any way?
I don't know. I think in the context that it was done, probably not. I feel like it fit. They're at a pride celebration. It's probably expected that people are going to make pro LGBTQ plus statements. I think that it was probably very strategic that he said it at that time, because had he said it at a different occasion, I think it may have hit differently. So perhaps that was a strategic decision on his part, which I think that's an interesting point. I will now be doing some research later on with my friend Google to see if he has made similar comments elsewhere, or, to follow along and see if more statements come after this. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think it depends on if it was under a different administration, maybe a little bit of backlash, but he does have support within the government. So I think that he felt a little bit more free to express that. I'm not sure what previous administrations, how that would have gone. I'm just saying, because I know our track record. Teo, do you have anything else you want to say about this? I'm done. I'm enjoying my queer sunshine, and I'm going to sit back and sip my LaCroix.
Yeah, I'm mostly done as well. I guess the only thing that I would say, as you mentioned, the USA and Israel don't have the cleanest history, so do we have to applaud them? Of course, we have to applaud the change, but does it mean that they are really changing? Let's hope so. Let's see what time says. Let's get hopeful, because we cannot be as depressive always. So let's hope, and let's see where this leads to. That's all I want to close with.
All right. Well, hey, you want to continue conversations like this? You should join us on our fan-run Facebook group and Discord server. And if you want to hear more from the nonprofits, you can find it right here.